Welcome to Too Many Games, where the more you play, the more you win. With me, I'm Chuck, your host. With me today is the second host, Travis.
Hello.
And we actually have a bonus guest today, Damon.
Yo.
So,
Hello.
Do you want me to? I forgot to ask this before we start. Do you want me to introduce you as Damon, or do you want to use one of your online monikers?
He's Damon now.
I thought about that too, actually. I think everybody else, you two have already used first name basis, so that's what we're on here.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's also just kind of like been personal choice.
Like, Damon kind of sounds like Dead Man, and that's a tight ass nickname.
Agreed.
You know?
Fair enough.
Agreed.
Dude, that should just be your online name.
Dead Man. Well, I think there's like 80 billion of those.
Well, how many Damons you think exist, Charles?
At least 5.
Yeah. All right. All right, fine.
I think that's accurate.
You know what? I'll give you Dragon Professor then.
Okay. I'll take it.
Not you.
No, it's already been taken. I can't have it.
How did you just? It was a gift to my friend Damon. He's a new guy. He's new on the show. I thought it'd be a sweet thing and be like, hey, by the way, I thought of this awesome name a couple episodes ago. There's a Professor Dragon. That's a tight ass name, right? Even think about it in your head. It's this big ass dragon. He's got these like glasses and maybe, I don't know, like a coat. Maybe he doesn't have a coat. Either way, he's doing something with some science or he's figuring something out. And then
but he still gets bullied.
Well, yeah, but he's a dragon. He gets bullied by other. He gets bullied by other dragons, but that's like saying
the quarterback dragon.
Well, okay, so even if you get bullied by other dragons, that's like saying you're the nerdiest millionaire. Oh no, I'm sorry. I have to go back to my cave and hang out with my millions and millions of dollars and riches and stuff.
All right, well, calm down, Elon Musk.
But you'd be Elon Musk in this situation. Damn it! Leave my dragon alone.
So
I'm going to start this episode up by getting so high I don't remember how mean you were to me.
That's every episode. We'll move on to our first game of the night. Damon, what game did you bring with us?
Okay. I brought up Raid
Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow Legends. Yep. I'm actually a rep.
Wait,
here for a sponsor.
We brought him on as a sponsor
segment.
Oh man, I've been waiting for this.
I brought up Mad Max earlier, and the game I brought up is a bid inspiration from that. I mean, you could say even it's copying. Came out before the game, but the movies and stuff definitely inspired it a lot. id Software, Rage.
Yes.
And came out in 2011. So that would make it around like 11 years old. We can call it 10. Yep. I don't know.
Damn, you guys know math.
Oh no, I just know meth.
He was using his fingers. Came out, I was fairly young, and it was one of the first games that I bought for myself, and I played it probably a half a dozen times all the way through, doing all the stuff, all the hidden Easter eggs that you had to do so much work to find. And I personally feel like it was abandoned. Now, technically it wasn't. There is a second, but it's horrible. And
there is another.
And honestly, I'm going to pretend that it doesn't exist for sake of this conversation. It doesn't exist to me. It's not real. That was a fever dream.
It should be.
And we can all agree that it doesn't exist.
Totally.
So this game is on Steam. It is 10 smackaroos and $5 for the DLC. So that brings you around $15. I would say it's a great pickup.
As much as Rage 2 did not live up to Rage 1, I didn't feel it was a terrible game.
And it was how many?
Like, it added a lot of like color and random shit, but it's still like the actual shooting and movement was very fun.
I mean, it was also 7 years too late, but we can.
Okay, yeah, that. It's
We
like,
can.
hey, what's the appropriate time for hype to die down from a game that everybody loves? Oh, 7 years. Let's try to regain our audience.
So, okay, so it's a post-apocalyptic game, basically.
Yes.
I mean, actually, not basically. Um, like normal, apocalypse scenario. There's a giant fucking asteroid coming to Earth, and this is the far, far future. But apparently, they have no technology to destroy it, but they have technology to put themselves under the ground, and they have one massive arc that they fit as many people in as they can, and they put it down in the ground, and a humongous asteroid strikes. Now
Hell yeah.
they also put in a group of super soldiers into the ground to be released 100 years after the people have came back and potentially repopulated the planet. But basically a coup happens, and it doesn't tell you at all in the story. A coup happens. A general, of course, takes over, opens the arc early, takes who he wants, and starts a new world order type government that's going to control the wastelands. So they're called the Authority. They have higher tech than everyone else. They're took all the scientists and all the people with them, so they have, there's nothing left for anyone else. They're starving everyone and taking over what they want. And so there's some people who didn't die in the explosion, even though the explosion fucked everything up. They didn't die. So you start out, you pop out of one of these capsules that pops out of the ground.
Hey, you say like everybody went underground and stuff, but wasn't it like the scientists or the elite people were sent to a satellite in space to avoid the asteroid?
See,
and you're
the
like,
wiki says it's based off of a novel, and a
Yeah.
lot of the lore and stuff, it comes from, there's nothing in
Right.
the game that tells you anything that happened before. So
Well-
it comes from inserts and stuff like that you pick up. But yeah, what's up?
I like that a lot as far as storytelling goes. I think that's a really
sealed
cool way.
under the surface of the earth. Yep. I mean,
Yeah. The mega
Yeah,
arc, whatever
you're
it's
right.
called, the biggest one, it housed, government people and scientists and stuff.
I just thought I like, because I mean, it's been about 11 years since I last played it.
I mean, yeah.
I thought I remembered something about like each of the scientists' cryogenic tubes are basically like an escape pod that like jettisons itself back to Earth. And so as you're climbing out, but yeah, from the wiki, it's saying that the pods are actually shoved up from the Earth because you're actually under the Earth frozen. So, hey, I'll believe the wiki over my memory any day.
Yeah, fair enough. So basically, the bad guy, the antagonist, he, uses his technology to stop the arc system from releasing the super soldiers and tries to kill most of them.
Yeah.
And any of them who manage to survive, his authority will eliminate and assassinate and, torture and steal their tech. So you pop out, you take 10 steps, and you're in front of some bandits, and they question you on what your motives are, and that's where the game kind of just takes up and starts the ball rolling of like this, mystique of, new world order and bandits and horrible shit, wasteland, apocalyptic.
Now you're
And
speaking my language.
you have a conversation in the car, and that's basically all the information you get. So, you go from there to just missions and tasks and, the game. But one thing I wanted to touch on is one of my favorite ways of like advancing a story, is getting weaponry.
Yeah.
And the way they do it is one of my favorite styles in a lot of games is like, it's a lot like Doom, where you're doing a mission, and in that current mission, something happens that's out of the ordinary. And then all of a sudden, hey, I'm picking up a new machine gun, you know.
Right.
I'm picking up a rocket launcher. I'm picking up something in this fight, or oh hey, there's a grenade on this table. I'm gonna throw it, and now
Dude.
grenades are in your inventory. It's really cool. That's one of my favorite things.
Doom definitely perfected that style where it's just like, well, I'll go into the security room. Oh, you locked me in? Well, I found a chainsaw.
It's
Ho
awesome.
ho ho! I've got a machine gun.
And as cheesy as it is, I love it. I enjoy it.
Right. Do remember this game being a lot of fun. Like, I mean, it was from id Software, who
I remember you being a lot of fun. What happened to you, Chuck? What happened to you, man? We used to break controllers together all day. When was the last time you broke a controller?
You don't want me to answer that.
All right, continue. I actually, it's somewhere. It's on some hard drive somewhere, but it's a screen grab of conversation we were having on Facebook, and you were like, oh, my controller doesn't work, and I was like, oh, what happened? And you're like, knife stuck in it. There's like no context whatsoever, and I was like, oh, okay. And we just started talking about something else. It was like, yeah, that makes total sense. Like, oh, knife stuck in it. Yeah, hey, that makes sense.
So id Software, you know, they created Doom, they did Wolfenstein and Quake.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is kind of their
They also did Commander Keen.
Yes.
Yeah, we all know that one.
Come on.
So Rage is really just kind of like the final evolution of those kinds of games, you know?
It's true. And in a lot of ways, it's fairly corny or cheesy or whatever you want to say. It draws on a lot of inspirations from other stuff, like, you know, Mad Max and every apocalyptic game, you know, Apocalypse. Sorry.
Okay, but so then because of that, we can also dip into the understanding that sometimes corny is good.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Sometimes
Predictable,
corny is
sometimes
good. You
it's
do
good.
it right and it's beautiful. Sometimes things that are so straight up and down and you're like, you did that so beautifully. The cinematography was so beautiful. The way you scoped things, like,
yeah.
I'm really trying to, I said last podcast, I started playing Breath of the Wild, right? So
it's a great game.
Oh, dude, I'm so sad that it's taken so long. I'm about to buy Smash Brothers, right? I'm about to buy Super Smash.
I
Super
played a
Smash
lot of that
Brothers.
too.
Oh,
yeah.
dude, I can't wait. I can't wait. I've been dying to play this shit online for years and years. I used to play it like 7 years ago, whatever, before Ultimate or with Ultimate. Or
Let me know. I'll get on with you and do some.
Oh, dude, I'm fucking
sessions.
Shit. We do this at my computer. I'm gonna order right now, man. Anyway, amped on it. What I'm trying to say about Legend of Zelda or Breath of the Wild specifically is that it's really one of those games. If you just take a second and like pan off into the distance and look, you're like, wow, this is really fucking beautiful. Like if I take a second and imagine that I'm just looking over this huge expanse with all these beautiful trees and these mountains in the background and then all these wild, fantastical things. Shit, man.
For a launch Switch game, the things they did for like draw distance and environmental detail and stuff really they like utilize all of the machine's hardware to which nobody else has been able to copy since the Switch has come out.
Like, you know, Nintendo, they do a lot of scummy shit legally, but they deliver on their games, man. They deliver.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, Nintendo's kind of the standard. I mean, it is the standard as far as that shit goes. I will say one of my gripes with Breath of the Wild is like, you know, brand new player. I've maybe put like 3 hours total. I play it like casually at work. And then whenever someone comes in, I have to like press the home button and put it down and go do something else and, you know, whatever. So I don't get that absorbed into it. But automatically climbing on things is making me so fucking mad. Stop automatically climbing up this tiny little bitty wall. I'm trying to just run past it. I'm lazy sometimes. I smoke at work. Sometimes I have a drink or two. Who knows? I don't. Sometimes I just nudge up against something and he's like, oh yeah, up. Yeah. Oh, that's what I do. That's all I fucking do. Shut the fuck. Oh, God damn it. Like, stop for a second. Can I where's the iron boots? Someone tell me where the iron boots are in the Breath of the Wild and I'll go there immediately. And I'll just say, you know what? You'd never get to climb again.
Hey, don't forget you're hungry.
Yeah. The iron boots is you have to go to the volcano and get them from Gorons because they are fire resistant.
Wait, there's actual iron boots in the game?
Yes.
Oh, did it make me not climb?
No.
Don't care.
Yeah, there's things that help you climb better, but there's nothing that keeps you from climbing.
Okay, so last few things. I'll finish soon, I promise. I just want to get through what I've wrote down. Right.
Say what you want to say.
So, okay, there's a few things. I'm going to go through them a little bit quickly. Cool mechanics that I liked. Car combat, always fun. You're way stronger than every car around you. So you just destroy them all, and it's really fun.
Right.
The defibrillator system. Basically, you're a super soldier. So you have little robots in your blood, and they restart your heart once you get killed. So every time, you die, you didn't actually die. You come right back to life.
Hell yeah.
The game
That
has
sounds dope.
like a cool gore engine and kill engine, so every weapon feels fun. You throw these boomerangs that home in automatically and just pop their little heads off. They just fly away. The sniper rifle, even though in the quick combat doesn't feel like it's that good, but once you hit a headshot, you are like, well, that was worth it. Grenades disintegrate people, and there's a little RC bomb car that you can drive around and blow people up like Call of Duty. Little sentry bot that's a little spider and walks around and shoots a minigun. Just a few things like that. Difficulties, and it's another way it draws from Doom. All the guns are kind of similar. They're all in a wheel. You immediately pull them out of your magical pocket, and the difficulties are like word for word the exact same, up to Ultra Nightmare.
Right.
And it was in Breaking Bad. That was another thing.
Right.
There's a scene where Jesse is playing Rage on the Wii.
I know, right? Isn't that silly? I love
because
watching
he just became bodyguard for one of the Mike, the guy who's going around collecting payments.
Mike Ermitrow.
So he's he has to
play Rage,
test fire, get his aiming well. But he's, instead of going to a shooting range, he buys Rage and puts it on his TV.
Everyone knows first-person shooter skills translate 1-to-1.
That part, it got me when I watched it through, especially because I loved this game so much. I was like,
yeah,
no way,
Rage. What I had
a big tie-in promo. I don't know if you watched it when that episode went live, but it was like that episode was also every commercial break were these big promos for Rage.
It had cool commercials.
Yeah,
I remember that.
So it was like, yeah.
So they had one DLC, and it came out like 6 months later. So it obviously was like very unpolished. But when it came out, it was like 2 times more graphically appealing and fun, with like real missions that felt way more in depth than the entire game. And I'm sure there's a few standalone missions from there's a very long storyline. It's a lot of just running back and forth though. It was the Scorchers, like these guys obsessed with fire, and they had an arc that they were hiding some hidden technology in, and just a lot of cool stuff. They evolved the map a little bit, so you have some secret areas that you unlock, and you come back and go through some things, which I like in a DLC to make you revisit stuff. And had a real boss fight, which was missing from the original game. The add-on put a real boss fight with a health bar, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. It adds a nail gun, which is basically it's more of like one of those things that shoots out rebar though, because it's powerful, and that made that a lot of fun too. Just pinning people's heads to the wall.
This game came out around the same time as Fallout New Vegas and the first Borderlands. All three of those pretty much have the same color palette, where it's kind of like lots of browns and grays and just like ugly. But Rage actually has the superior lighting engine.
And it I mean, it doesn't hold up to today's graphics, and I went back and looked at it just now. And
I mean,
it doesn't
I'm
look
looking at
close.
I'm looking at an old IGN video of it, and it still looks really good.
But for the time, though, once you really think about that, when you put it in perspective, it seems so much better than it really is. But not to take any points off, it is a great game still.
Yeah.
Like a lot of games from that time, the ending does feel a bit rushed, and that's one of my major gripes. But
yeah,
all in all, I like apocalypse games, so I highly rate this one for myself. And it has a fun thing with the mutants, and they're like basically zombies, but they're like tested on humans, and there's big special ones with octopus arms, and crazy ones that are the size of skyscrapers, and that all ties into the storyline as being like a weapon against the authority, but it seems like it's a weapon against you.
right.
And there's a cool guy who's like the leader of the resistance, and he's basically an old, like epically old man who's potentially hundreds of years old. He's blind. He has no legs, and
I never gave them permission to make a character based off me.
and he has a little robot on his shoulder
What?
that sees
I have a
for
little
him and basically is his senses. It's just a little guy on his shoulder, and that guy always cracked me up. He's really a unique character design. I liked what they did with him.
Right. So
I think that wraps it.
What's your score? What's your rating?
I would give it a solid 7 octopus arms out of 10.
Yes.
Love
it. Very good. Travis,
Yes.
What game did you bring this week?
Woo! Hey! Oh, I got a good one. So the specific game I'm bringing to the table is called Magic the Gathering Arena, which is a free-to-play Magic the Gathering based online. What else would I call it? If I want to be more specific, Magic the Gathering based standard platform, right? It's supported by Wizards of the Coast. It's legitimate. Like they update stuff. It's fucking insane. It's really nice. They rotate out cards. It's well updated. Because I already did the big reveal, right? It's Magic the Gathering Arena. There's also Magic the Gathering Online, which is way more detailed, and it's basically like a old Microsoft or like a Windows 98 program, right, with like graphics on it. MTG Arena, Magic the Gathering Arena, is like super streamlined. All the cards are animated. They have like a bunch of support and stuff. Super fun to play. So
it's got all the zazz.
There's so much zazz, the bells, the whistles, everything. It all makes sense.
Okay.
So
first question, does it have animations?
Absolutely. So many animations. Now, not animations in the sense that like your card doesn't walk up and punch the other card in the face, but there are animations in the sense that you have like little familiars on the side. I have the very first one. It's a little cat with little wings, and I make them change colors based on what the color I think my opponent's going to play, right? So because I play a lot of the same decks all the time and I play a lot, I know exactly what I want to do. And the other person's they're sitting there and they're going, what am I gonna pick? What cards do I like to? And then boom, I'm just sitting there clicking on my fire cat, and I change him to ice cat, and I turn him into a smoke cat or like a swamp cat. Anyways, that part doesn't matter.
I could stand to hear more cats.
Oh, right. So
Is there a
cat,
swamp cat?
yeah, so that cat, there's 3 versions of it, right? There's like a little baby cat, and this was for the first like battle pass for the game, right? Whenever I mean, not even the first, but like one of the first, you bought the battle pass, and then you get a little cat, and then you go further down the battle pass, and then your cat like gets bigger or something. I can't remember what the second iteration of it was, but the first iteration doesn't have wings. The third iteration has wings. My cat has wings, and he's wild as a motherfucker.
And then it goes into heat.
Magic the Gathering, also Magic, called Magic or MTG, is a strategy card game created by Richard Garfield in 1993 and published by Wizards of the Coast. Magic holds the title of, quote, most played trading card game, unquote, and is currently published in English. All right, I completely lost all kind of structure with that. So it's published in like so many different languages. You can find cards and all sorts of crazy shit. So sometimes you'll find a card that you love, and then you'll find like a Chinese version of it. You'll be like, hell yeah, I want the Chinese one, or like a Russian one, or a Portuguese one. Anyways, Magic is not a single game, but rather a game system that shares a set of rules and many game components, because a lot of people play Standard, and Standard's going to be 60 cards each. It's 1v1, and you both have 20 health. Now, unlike Arena, and I don't want to get too much into it because it'll be a whole nother thing, but there's another part of Magic called Commander, or EDH. EDH stands for, and I don't know why because it sounds ridiculous, but Elder Dragon Hero. So EDA, Elder Dragon Hero, fuck it, who cares? It's Magic, Elder Dragon Hero, just roll with
it. I know all about CCR.
yeah, no, CCR, EDH, TPY, MTG. So EDH is also called Commander, and instead of Standard, which is like 60 card decks, 20 health, 1v1, EDH or Commander is like, I have a Commander game, a regular Commander game on Thursday nights. It's Magic night.
Oh, I have another question. Well, you go ahead. I interrupted you.
No.
I was just saying that is the most pay to win game out there right now.
That was gonna be my question.
Woo!
So
okay, so there's a difference between paper Magic. Paper Magic is pay to win, 1,000%.
Right.
No one that plays Magic would say otherwise, or if they do, they have a lot of money or a lot of cards already, and they're defending that point. So I thought about it, right? So so because I play with other people in a group, and we're branching off from the actual game I'm talking about. We're just talking about Magic in general, right?
Yes.
So
okay.
Magic in general, I want to always be like super competitive, and the deck I use playing against everyone else is super competitive, right? And it has a lot of interaction with multiple people instead of like, oh, target, right? Because at a certain point, Magic cards stopped saying one opponent or your opponent, and it started saying all opponents or opponents with an S, right? So they play into the Commander thing. Anyways, that point being made, you could spend, and it's called CEDH because it's competitive Elder Dragon Hero. So CEDH decks are like ridiculously strong, powerful decks. And that's what I'd really like to do if I had an unlimited amount of money, because some of the cards in CEDH decks are $500 a piece.
Oh my God.
One card. In Commander or EDH, you only get one copy of cards. You cannot have more than one copy of that card in your deck. So it becomes so much more random, right? That's why having super powerful cards and super expensive cards pays off so much. So if all of your cards are good, it doesn't matter what you draw, you're going to draw something that will work. And so that's why Magic is pay to win at a certain point, but that's why I enjoy Magic the Gathering Arena so much, because I have as good of cards as anyone else. In the deck that I'm currently playing, I have 3 cards in the deck that I'm currently using. It's a Dimir deck, right? And so all these different combinations, and I'll get right back into the color thing, and then I really have to like hammer back into making sense about talking about this game because it's getting so convoluted. But I have 3 copies of a card called Meat Hook Massacre, and that card in paper version costs $80 per card, which is fucking insane. Right. So no matter what, you're not going to get away without spending money unless you play online. And I've probably spent maybe $60 total. And that's about the cost of like a AAA game. And they put that amount of time, they put that amount of effort. And I've spent, hundreds of hours playing Magic Online. So it kind of makes sense that I would spend some kind of money. So as a general understanding, right, from the ground up, in each game of Magic, the player is taking on the role of like a planeswalker, right? You're like a magician, you're like a spellcaster, and that's your role. And then you typically play, like in the context I'm talking about is like Arena, you're playing against one other person. So then you can specifically make a deck to combat one person. And it's like constructed from cards that you own, but also because this is online, it depends on what you want to build. And so some people might be like fucking around or like trying something, but I play the competitive ranked. And again, like I know we've talked about it a lot and it's come up a lot, but like the few games that I play online competitively, I try to play like to expertise, right? So I've gotten to the point in Magic where I've gotten the absolute highest rank. It's called Mythic Rare, or Mythic.
Congrats.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I really did. Like I tried really, really hard at the last push to like get to that point. And I just basically like played counter meta decks because 70% of the people I was playing against were people who found a deck online and used it to get to where they were at. And so it's like, oh cool, I'll just play a deck that beats that deck. And so I beat like 70% of people and like kind of choose my way up there. But that's the point of Magic. Like that's the thing. It's also not called Mythic Rare. That's what that icon means on cards is Mythic Rare, but it's Mythic as a rating. So it goes, like bronze or like bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, mythic. Anyways, what I was
Nerd.
yeah, totally, dude. I'm about it as far as Magic goes, man. That's my jam. I like the lore. I think it's so interesting. There's so many cool things. It's like Warhammer, like there's just so much shit, right? So, anyways, the whole point of Magic the Gathering, right? So we're talking right now in a standard game where you're playing against one opponent. You both have 60 cards or more than 60, but like a minimum of 60. Because if you only had like 20 cards in your deck, you could do some really cheesy things because of like, the amount of whatever. I'm getting too in depth. So the objective is to bring your opponent to 0 health. So you have 20 health, you're trying to get the guy to 0. Life is a resource. So sometimes you use your life to do a bunch of shit. There are more than 20,000 Magic cards. Now,
Jesus.
yeah, they add hundreds every year, obviously because of like packs and stuff, but because of the mode that I play, it's standard. So cards cycle out, right? So we're only using like the last 6 releases. And so the last 6 releases, then your deck changes a little bit, right? And then some of your cards that you use to make this deck work like cycle out. So you do something else, whatever. Magic is a card game. You have 20 health, your opponent has 20 health. You draw 7 cards. You start or your opponent starts, it's random. If your opponent starts first, they don't draw a card, but they get the turn advantage. So now they're 1 turn ahead. Every turn in Magic, you can do so many things. One thing you do absolutely every time every time it's your turn, you start your turn by drawing a card. What is next is what could possibly be next is you can then play mana. Mana is the resource of Magic. You have to use mana in order to play cards or to play spells or to do anything, right? Some cards have every color on it because Magic is crazy and there's
Also, coolest cards in the game. Coolest cards in the game are always the mana cards.
Absolutely. They look ridiculously good, right?
And some of them are shiny and holographic and stuff, and they look so good. I love
Ooh, that's one of the
I got in a card battle with a guy and I put down all my lands and all of my islands and stuff. And he beat me with these monsters. And I was just showing off all my mana. I don't know why he put out monsters.
So there's multicolored cards there. Like I was talking about, there's 5 colors. And if you play green forest or white plains, you suck at Magic. I don't like you. I don't want to play with you. You're not very good. But all the other 3 colors, islands, mountains, swamps, hell yeah, that's my jam.
I like islands and plains and mountains.
All right. Close enough.
Swamps.
There
Fuck
we go.
the
I'll give it to you. Fuck the forest, man. Actually, it's like almost a joke within my little group. We opened up these new packs for New Capena, which is like a Italian gangster themed release. This is the most recent one. It's like gangsters and Italian shit, and it's kind of actually super racist. But anyways, I opened up a card. It's called a Smuggler's Stash, and it retails about like $30, or it did at the time. And I went in 1/3 for the cards for like a pack, right? So we all had 10 cards, and I convinced, not even convinced, like I swindled him, but he plays green and I fucking hate green, and he knows I hate green. And so I sold my buddy who bought the pack one of the cards for $30 and then gave him the rest in cash. And so like that kind of, the cards paid for themselves. I paid like $15 for 10 packs, which is a sweet ass deal.
That's great.
Little victories.
So what do you find so addicting about Magic?
Oh, so one thing I like about it is the randomness of it. The fact that I personally, right? So, I was talking about swamps, plains, islands, forests, everything. So there are so many different colors. There's Esper, right? Esper is white, blue, and black. Grixis, which is my favorite, is blue, black, and red. Jund is black, red, and green. Naya is white, red, and green. Mardu is white, black, and red. Jeskai is white, blue, and red. Like there's so many combinations. There's so much bullshit to it. You have no idea what the person you're going to play against is going to play. So you go in with what you think is going to be as strong as you can, right? I personally I play Grixis and paper, which is red, blue, and black. But online, I play Azorius, Orzhov, which is black and white, or Demir, which is black and blue. And I'm almost consistently playing Demir now because I talked about earlier counterspells, because now that I've gotten back into it, I've played probably like 30 games with New Capinia and the new releases and the new meta. Now I know what to counterspell. So whenever somebody plays a card, I'm like, all right, cool, that's a filler card. And then somebody plays a card that's part of their combo, then I counter that card, and then they surrender immediately.
So a lot of the things about these is knowing, the more you know about the meta, the better you're gonna do.
100%. That's most of Magic, is knowing what your opponents want to do. There's a difference between a strong card and a combo card. And once you
knowing when
realize,
to FF.
Oh, exactly.
So one thing about these kind of games with like cards and stuff, like that unmatched feeling of outplaying your opponent, you don't always get that from, a shooter or, other battle royales, types of games like that. You just don't get that same feeling of knowing how in control you are of the situation.
That's a really good point, actually. That's something that's huge in Magic, where it hits a point where you are in control of the game and you win. And then maybe so that's something that came in a lot with me whenever I was making that grind to Mythic and trying to get as high ranked as possible. I was playing what I mentioned before, Orzhov, which is black and white. And so because of that, and because of what the meta looked like, I was playing a lot of board wipes. And board wipe is a term that, means like clearing all the creatures, or all the creatures, all the artifacts, whatever.
Sometimes even including your own.
Always include, almost always including your own. In fact, that's one crazy thing about paper Magic, is because paper Magic, you can use cards from whenever, right? You can use cards from 5 years ago, and
from your graveyard and stuff.
Well, no, I mean, you can use cards that were released 5 years ago.
Oh,
you can use super old cards. They just might be really expensive in paper Magic. In Magic the Arena online, you can only use the most 5-6 recent releases. So that's how the meta changes, because on paper Magic, I have no idea what the fuck you're gonna do, because you could have one out of
which
20,000
seems like the most
cards.
palatable form of the game.
Absolutely.
So I think putting it that way, it seems like a lot more enticing to a casual like me.
No, that's what I really like about Arena, is that there's only so many cards you have to learn.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Say you were with your Magic buddies or whatever, or anyone that plays this game, like what would
and
you
we're all
connect
making
on?
fun of a newbie like you? We're all
Yeah, but
laughing at
like,
a nerd.
what would you connect on what makes Arena special in certain ways, you know?
So there's a couple things that make Arena special. One, it is actually like acknowledged by Wizards of the Coast, and there are some promotional things that you can actually win real money playing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like through the game, you can, if you are good enough and you place, you can win real money.
Yeah,
And
that's a
it's
really cool feature. That's really cool.
absolutely. So then they do things like whenever you go to a LGS, which is called a local game store, they'll give
Yeah.
you codes for Arena. So when you buy physical cards, you get codes for online cards.
I think you've done a great job. I honestly am tempted to play. Like I love the rush of watching your cards cascade and your combos connect.
It's free.
Enticing.
It's
Yeah.
free. It's fun. Anyone who's listening to this, my co-hosts included, I will give you the rundown. I will teach you. I will give you like a 30-minute breakdown and show you the right way to start playing so that you can succeed instead of just playing. And if you want to just jump in and say, fuck it, I'm going to do whatever I want, and then you start playing and you get into it, and then you want to get better, let me know. I'm not the best. I'm really, really not the best, but I can at least point you in the right direction. And I would love to.
So what's your rating? For just the online.
One
just
spit
the
out of
online
two.
game.
So Magic the Gathering Arena, as far as a game, as far as, and I'm
Yes.
talking like connectivity, as far as the graphics look, as far as the avatars are, the card
Yes.
selection, everything.
And
I'm
all
gonna-
the bad and all the good.
I'm gonna give it 4 mana. I'm gonna give it 7 mana out of 10. 7 mana out of 12. 7
What
out of 12.
color?
All black. All black.
All
Always
black.
all black. Always all black. No matter what. No green. I will say this game is magnificent. It's fun. It has the most amount of replayability because you're only ever really playing against other people. So it scratches that itch of saying, you know what? I'm playing a video game. I'm smarter than you and I'm better than you. And if you don't play video games for that reason, why are you playing video games? If you're having fun playing a video game, get the fuck out of my face. No, Magic the Gathering is an extremely fun game and you will have fun playing it. Thank you for listening to my talk.
The game I'm bringing to the table is Brutal Legend.
Starring Kelsey Grammer.
Starring Kelsey fucking Grammer. But also not. Why would Kelsey Grammer be in this game?
Wait, this is going to be so bad, but how good would a mod of that game with Kelsey Grammer as a voice actor and Niles as like the narrator? And then his dad voices the fucking boss? Dude, did I just...
that would impress maybe 50 people.
I was gonna say 40, honestly. That's so bad. All right. Anyways,
Totally worth the effort.
Yeah, I totally apologize. I just still that's
so Brutal Legend is a third-person action adventure game from Tim Schafer, who is very well known. He did Psychonauts. He did other good games.
I like how you said he's really well known and then you had to say why he's really well known.
But yeah, so like Grim Fandango, Full Throttle. He was really, really big at the turn of the century, basically. Like early 2000s, he did a bunch of fun games. He had a very nice style of bringing comedic elements into the game, and they all look very unique. You know, they all have their own particular style that sets them all apart. So once he started getting a big enough portfolio, EA bought out his studio. And so the first game they built with EA is Brutal Legend.
Real quick. So you were a big fan of this guy, yeah? Because you were
Yeah.
talking about one of his other games before, so I've never heard of him. So I just did a quick Google to see what he's made. Are you a fan of most of his games, or is it just, you know, like a few, but like
A
how
good
big of a fan?
majority.
Yeah.
Brutal Legend would be the first game that I played of his back when it first released. And then Psychonauts, I didn't play the first one until the second one's about to come out, and I kind of like binged the first one just before the release, and so I went straight into the second one. Grim Fandango, I played years ago.
Yeah, a lot. I'm just even sitting here looking at the like picture, the cover art for him, and I'm like, yeah, this looks like Chuck's favorite game.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they worked on the Monkey Island series for LucasArts.
Yeah, I think I've heard you mention that one as well.
So
I worked on Monkey Island a lot. That game was hard.
Yeah. That's a good game though. One of the things with this is big open world game. They wanted to mix third person action combat with RTS style gameplay, like real time strategy, like Command and Conquer or StarCraft style gameplay.
Okay.
And they came up with this setting, which is you have Jack Black as the main character playing Eddie Riggs, who's a roadie that has a mishap on stage of a band that he was working for. And this teleports him to this other world that is based all on rock and metal and stuff. So it's like all of the area is like the mountains and stuff. You see like car parts coming out of the mountain. So it's just like these
this is cool.
10-story tall exhaust pipes and shit. There's a wall of amplifiers that create a dam, and so he comes in with this whole background of music to this world where everybody sees these parts and stuff as like ancient artifacts of the gods. And so he's like putting them together, make guitars and like a whole stage and getting a crew together. So the game kind of
unique. This is really unique.
So this game kind of builds up to like the battle of the music genres in a sense, where he is kind of the classic rocker. The first boss is based on like 80s hair metal. There's
unique.
One of the factions is like goth metal, and then the main faction is like demon or death metal. And so you're kind of like you're building up this band to be able to take on these bigger and bigger challenges. So as you're running around putting these things together, that's your third person action adventure where you play as Eddie. You have an axe and you have a guitar, and they both have special abilities to kill your enemies, to like wreck shit, playing through the story. But it's when the big warring factions face off against each other that it turns into the RTS. How they do it is, say your main base is the stage for your band to play, and then the resources you have to collect is there's like these geysers that appear on the battlefield, and it's fans basically. So you have to like build merch shops on top of the fans to get them to come to your stage.
Ooh.
And then that gives you the resource to build an army to go fight the other band.
Okay, I see.
So it's like a really, really cool idea. On top of this is you get basically a lot of licensed music, like more than what Grand Theft Auto typically has.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
I remember the music for sure.
Yeah.
I think I might even play it just for the music. That sounds really awesome. The licensed music has drawn me in. Also, it's the fact that this video, there was a guy with fists that are bigger than almost his entire body.
Yeah.
This looks awesome.
So in this particular video, you can see the people he's recruiting is like,
and they're so
basically
goofy
headbangers. So he's turning these stoner type people who just like to headbang to music. And it's like, well, why don't you just headbutt these people who are trying to oppress you?
He's got these Beavis and Butthead guys.
so the licensed music, it's like a bunch of Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica, fucking greats. And you
Classics.
get quite a large roster just by playing the game normally. There's also collectibles. So within the world, there are
Find new
these like,
music.
yeah, there are these like
Oh
sunken
my
tombstones.
gosh.
And when you raise them, you get another piece of music. And there's like
That's
50
so
to
cool.
100 that you could collect off of that.
Oh my god. 50
So
to 100 I was not expecting.
one of the other things is you early on you get a car called the Deuce. And within the car, you actually get a radio to play all the music you unlock. So like
Wow.
a mission like this where you're freeing these guys, there's a certain I think it's an Aussie song that's playing while you're doing this mission. When the mission concludes, you unlock that song to play in your car. And then when you're in your car, you could also bring up the playlist menu, and it gives you every piece of song, and you could like uncheck ones you don't like, you know?
Yeah.
So then it's like you're building your own playlist to drive around and listen to while you're doing everything.
Wow. And these cutscenes are hilarious, I gotta say.
Yes.
Like they're way better than you would expect for like a goofy ass game like this. And the other thing is that like multi-step animation of whatever he keeps doing, it looks so goddamn good. Every time I see it go down on the screen and it does that like purple pulse, it's really cool.
They were also building this game with a very minimal HUD during a time of gaming where like HUDs were completely full. Like it was a Ubisoft fever dream. There were always like waypoints and health bars and all this shit. And Tim Schafer's like, yeah, let's get rid of all of that and just enjoy the game that you get, kind of thing.
This is 2009.
Yep, 2009
that it came out.
Yep.
So I mean, it looks great.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's all the entire story is that he is a roadie, and even though he's basically putting the band together and getting them to go after all these minions and stuff. And at every step, the plot seems like, you're the lead character stuff. Ultimately, you're not.
You're not. Yeah,
you're
that's
the
hilarious.
Roadie for the guy who's the leader of the group that you're helping. So he gets all the glory, and you're just the roadie. You just step back into the shadows, knowing that your job is done.
Right. And dude, this attack, this multi-hit combo is also like really, really, really cool and well done.
So with the guitar, you have these powers of what is guitar solos, which you bring up on a little radio menu, and they can do different things. Like some of the earliest ones you get is like you get a rallying cry, which doubles the attack power of your troops that are near you. Then you start getting some simple ones, like if you play the solo, then you're telling your troops to attack like way over there. And if you play the solo again, then that's like calling all of your troops to wherever you're at, kind of thing. Well, similar to how you unlock new songs, you could also find new solos buried in the earth. And they can range from some like really crazy shit, like just summoning wild animals to help you in fights, to one called Led Zeppelin, which it literally brings a Zeppelin that's on fire and just like explodes on the ground.
That's great though.
And the solos are played kind of Guitar Hero style, where it's just like color coded to play the notes. And
so I have a question. It's not related to this. It's sort of okay. How did Jack Black get famous? Is he a comedian? Is he an actor? Is he a musician? I don't know.
He's all of the above, baby.
But what was the first one?
So him and his friend Cage, they were kind of a comedic metal duo who would play stage shows. And then from those stage shows, they would get they got like a short-lived TV series on MTV where they were able to kind of like
Wait,
goof
I
off
think I
and
know what
stuff.
this is.
And I mean, their band is Tenacious D. If
Okay, of course.
anybody knows.
See, I could not even think of the name, but I just don't remember this type of shit.
Yeah.
So thinking like I didn't know. Okay, so like I didn't understand if it was like AC or not sorry, Tenacious D was something he started after he, became actor, comedian, whatever. Right.
No, Tenacious D was his origins. That's how
Okay.
him and his friend got well known. And then from that, he started doing like comedy movies and stuff. But I guess Cage didn't want to do them with him or something.
Yeah.
But that's where kind of Jack Black became more of a household name, is that he was jumping around doing all these comedies like School of Rock and
School of Rock was good. And like when I was
Orange
a
County
kid, that
and
was
stuff.
like
Orange
the
County,
coolest.
phenomenal.
Was like the coolest movie I'd ever saw at that time. I was like, wow, this is like, it's edgy and like, but it's also for kids.
Yeah. But also like Jack Black is like a very energetic, like short, chubby dude who
he's a character.
Yeah.
But
he's also like
himself.
Yeah. But he's also like very, very musically oriented. Like not only can he play just about anything on a guitar, he could do it with his mouth.
Right.
Like if anyone's watched School of Rock, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He could just play a song with his mouth. But if you've watched the Tenacious D movie that came out, The Pick of Destiny, like there's a great scene where the movie is doing a like Jack Black first meeting Cage, and Cage is this guy who's just playing like classical music on his guitar on the sidewalk, and Jack Black just walks up and like sings along to the guitar notes. And it's fucking amazing. But yeah, he's a very energetic person, and it was great having him as a main character in a game, especially a game that's built around like metal music and stuff. Jack Black plays the main character. You have Tim Curry playing the main villain of this. Like, you know who Tim Curry is, right?
Let me look him up so I can have a reaction to this. Okay, I don't.
Okay.
Was he the It?
He was in the 90s version of It.
Yeah, I've seen that. Let's see, what else have I seen that he's in?
He played the concierge in Home Alone 2. If you've watched Muppet Treasure Island, he played Long John Silver.
That's his best role, first off, or second, thirdly, fourthly.
If you've watched like Fern Gully, he played the tar monster.
Yeah, he definitely looks very familiar.
Yeah, he is in a lot of things, and he has a very unique voice. Okay, fine. I've been dancing around it. His most famous thing was he played the Dr. Transvestite in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, cool. I need to hear his voice so I can understand.
Yeah, I don't know if you know that. I was just saying that's probably going to be one of the things that everybody will bash on me for once this episode goes live. It's like, okay, yes, he got big from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Anyway.
Yeah, he does have a very unique voice. I see what you're saying now. And he's done a lot of voice acting. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, he was in Jimmy Neutron. Cool.
So yeah, a lot of the game is this open world. You go around, there's different collectibles to get. Some are like lore related, others increase your health, and then there's like the music upgrades and like weapon and vehicle upgrades. There's a bunch of like different side quests to do, but the main meat of the game is about like rallying all of this
this band, right?
This like
the fans
classic
and the band
metal band into overthrowing the demon overlords and reclaiming the land for freedom. and it's just fantastic. So the problem is, and why it's pretty much an obscure game now, is EA is a piece of shit company.
It's all in the game.
They
It's
were
all in the
able
game,
to
baby.
they were able to give Tim Schafer a shit ton of money to get all the like licensed music and the voice actors and shit on board, but they had no idea how to market this game. And frankly, it is a very niche game where it's trying to appease like open world adventure games and RTS games. And it's like those are two completely different kind of groups. EA basically during the marketing, EA completely abandoned all of the RTS style advertising and just focused on the third person action adventure. And so a lot of people just thinking of like Jack Black Grand Theft Auto type game, you know, you start getting into the RTS combats and they're like, what the fuck is this shit? So it got very mediocre reviews.
Well, IGN gave it a good one, but then there's like other ones that are giving it like a 3. And it's like, I think y'all just didn't get it.
I think like GameSpot gave it a 3.
This video is just great. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, and the game ends not exactly with a cliffhanger. Like there's a lot of
setup.
Yeah, set up for a continuation of the story. What's important to the story is or what's important to the plot is told to you enough to where it's like, okay, you get everyone's drive, you get why Eddie has these powers and what happened to him and stuff, but it does leave quite a bit ambiguous so that if there's a sequel, you could go into it. And it has to deal with like his mother and father and who they are.
Oh, interesting.
Wow,
yeah. I'm sure they were purposefully setting it up for a second one because this is something like this, it's marketable.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things where it's like if there was plans for a second one or not, they were putting it in there, even if they were like getting towards the end and realizing, there's probably not going to be another one of these.
Yeah.
They could have totally left that part out, but they're going to do it anyway because it's so marketable. This game could have, exploded and been so popular that they were like making a ton of money, and they wanted to put them on for a second one because Jack fucking Black and shit.
Jack fucking Black, man. One of the things is like this game, they set up a sequel. They still haven't gotten a sequel, but same thing happened to Psychonauts, the original Psychonauts. When it came out, it also got a bunch of like mixed reviews and stuff, but it was like a very niche style game. It was kind of like really quirky and stuff, and a lot of people didn't get it, and it has become a cult classic. Well, recently they came out with Psychonauts 2. And guess who did a voice in Psychonauts 2?
Was it me?
Well,
Jackie.
It was Jackie Boy.
It was Jackie.
Jackie, don't say his last name.
It's Jackie.
Yeah, and he like even came up with a new song for a part of Psychonauts 2 and everything. And it's like, okay, so if Psychonauts, which is definitely a more, I would say before the sequel kind of became announced, Psychonauts was definitely one of the more obscure of the two, just because of like how big of like names that Jack Black and like all of the metal bands and stuff that were in Brutal Legend were. So Psychonauts 2 gets a sequel with a lot of the voice actors that are part of Brutal Legend. Then that means they can do a Brutal Legend 2.
That would be super awesome. And I feel like depending, I like the minimal HUD and shit. Yeah. But depending on how they do the combat system, I think it could do, fairly well.
Oh yeah. I mean,
for a full release. Like, yeah, why won't that make sense?
I think a lot of people are I don't think it's come up enough in all these like boardroom meetings and all these pitch meetings and shit, but nostalgia.
oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, straight up and down, like you release a Zelda game, I'm there.
Yeah.
Fucking Conker's Bad Fur Day, re-release that bitch. I'm fucking there. You know, like give me something. Maybe some of those are like niche settings, but Brutal Legends it really isn't. Really isn't, especially like, I mean, even if you just got every Tenacious D fan that ever existed from the time of inception until now, dude,
Right.
that'd be enough people to support a video game.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
And then market it right, you know?
I mean, the original game, it definitely has some tweaks that need to be made to the combat and stuff. But again, nothing that like a sequel can't fix.
Well, yeah, that's the point of a sequel. You use, I think, a lot of that stuff is like more like opportunity for innovation, right? So just get a really goofy ass writer who says, "Hey," who you say, "Hey, this is how we finish this game." Twist it on its head.
Yeah.
Give everyone else something to write for the sequel, right? And if that's his whole objective, then fucking sit on it, do whatever, you know.
Well, I feel like the conversation at large is the licensed music, you know, because this game has a lot. And recently I tried to do the Twitch streaming thing, and so one of the things is I played all the way through Brutal Legend. So I tried to do the Twitch streaming thing, which of course any licensed music blocks all audio. You can't even keep it archived. Like if you have it archived, they completely delete it. So I also had a YouTube channel to archive the gaming footage that Twitch normally wouldn't let me archive. Well, even on YouTube, it's like a lot of licensed songs is like, oh, well, you won't be able to submit this video for monetization. Like, I mean, that's fine. I'm just using it for an archive. I don't need to put ads on it. Any song that plays with Ozzy Osbourne, and it's not just Ozzy. I found out on other games that it's like a very subset of musicians. But for this game, it was Ozzy. If Ozzy plays, that video is instantly blocked in all countries.
Well, that's because
Like,
something
completely.
like Universal or one of those fucking big ass record labels has the best technology or the best lawyers or whatever that insta snipe, insta flag anytime that shit pops.
Yeah.
Because they're giving so much ad revenue that they can demand that shit, and it's fucked up.
That kind of conversation is tied into a game like this where it's like, you know,
that could be a whole episode on itself.
Yeah. I mean, I really want a second a sequel to this game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the sequel won't do well because if it's as music laden as the first game, then nobody's going to be able to play it live, you know?
And maybe that's why they haven't made a second one.
Yeah. And it's such a shame because it's amazing. This game is like glorifying metal in all aspects, in all genres. And because
it's got so many different aspects. I'm watching him race right now. Like, I didn't even know this was part of the game. He's doing a race.
And
it's like so many different things. It's awesome.
Because of copyright, like nobody will fucking play this.
Yeah.
It's so fucked. My rating for this game is 7 Aussies out of a Lemmy Killmeister.
That's the best rating yet.
Right?
Yeah. This game looks awesome.
Fucking great. Super cheap now because it's an old game. So
right.
So that'll do it this week for our show. Thank you, Damon, for being our special guest.
Hey, thanks for having me. Bring me back. You must.
You're coming back. You're definitely coming back. We're forcing you to come back. You're now locked in the studio.
He doesn't leave until you subscribe to the Patreon.
Right? So
Every time you subscribe, it shocks his nipples.
We have a Patreon set up under Too Many Games. $3 a month gets you access to our extended versions of each podcast. We tend to go a lot off topic. So as much as I try to trim down the episodes to an hour for Spotify, the episodes could still go up to like 2.5 hours at our longest, which is the one that we talked a lot about with the Warcraft on. This last week, I uploaded a bonus episode. The bonus episode was our episode 5, the extended version from Patreon. It's just to kind of like give a free taste to viewers to show them like what we keep talking about when we say like Patreon has our extended version. Well, that's an example where we talk a lot about extra stuff.
And follow the motherfucking podcast on Twitter. And you know what? Go find all the links, watch 10 minutes at a time on every platform, and then buy the Patreon. It's a demand. Thank you.
Too Many Games 2 is TOO mini games, and then the number 2. We have a Gmail at toomanygamespodcast@gmail.com. We're featured on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play,
and wherever your mom gets her podcast.
Oh my God, I was about to say, and your mom's house. Oh shit.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you have food in your mouth, sucker. Somebody else steals your jokes.
Goodbye.
Thank you and good night.
Goodbye.